Welcome back, everyone. We've got Alutemu versus Staz coming up for you for match number 4 of today's Grandmasters from the Asia Pacific region. And this is a matchup from both ends of their division table, with Alutemu currently second place with 3 wins and 1 loss, and Staz currently bottom place with 1 win and 3 losses. So this is going to be a big deal for both players. Alutemu can progress his standing and try and move forward, especially with Flurry taking the loss in the previous match. And Staz really needs to get some wins on the board because time is running out. Let's take a look at what Staz has submitted this week. He did go Mage and then Mage, but I believe it was the minion-based Mage into Cyclone Mage. And now he's going to go over to Bomb Warrior. And honestly, favorite deck out of all the ones Staz has submitted based on the meta. And I feel like as the only other Warrior player, he's had a really good pick this time.
Yeah, I think Bomb Warrior is a decent pick, but I'm not too sure about having the double weapons project Harrison in the primary, especially if you're expecting Rogue to not be that popular. But he did hit a Rogue, so it is going to work out for him, and maybe that's just the meta read that Staz had. And there are 4 Rogues in Asia Pacific, and 2 of them, the Japanese players Alutemu and Glory, are bringing the double waggle pick version. So of course the weapons project is even better against that one.
Yeah, I do feel as well that the weapons project isn't so bad at all versus Mage either. The card draw is always nice when combined with Harrison, but most importantly, it stops them just being able to play a 2-drop. And just do, either do things or play a Tempo Sorcerer's Apprentice, for example, to try and contest your board, because the weapons project deals with so many of all the minions that aren't the Mountain Giant side of the deck, of course, as well as helping out with some shield slams as well. So I don't mind it overall. Of course, there are 0 mages in APAC, so it won't matter. But with some, I don't think anyone was expecting 0 mages. I don't think that's a fair assumption. So I actually don't mind the weapons project at all. But let's check out Alutemu's list. His opponent, who, as you mentioned, Gia, is on the Rogue, and this looks very similar to the Rogue we just saw from Flurry, but I spy a little Sap there as well, which is not a card I'm too upset with.
Yeah, the Alutemu and Glory Rogue lists are a lot more aggressive by including the double deadly poisons and deckhands, and instead removing the Burgle package of the Blink Foxes and what's it called? Henge Clan Burglar, compared to what Flurry and Co. were running. But it's still got the Spirit of the Shark, Life Drinker package, and of course Evil Miscreant is, I would say, the core of the deck and what makes it so powerful. So I'm not sure if particularly the Burgle package would be better against Warriors, because in general you want to have more value against Warrior, but Bomb Warrior is not like Control Warrior. Sometimes you just need to be able to deal with their minions more efficiently in the early game and then snowball that advantage. Yeah,
it's definitely interesting, isn't it? Because it just shows as well how much Rogue, especially straight after the nerfs, just still isn't figured out, because although Flurry's list has similarities, this has double pick, as you mentioned, some of the more aggressive options, so Deadly Poisons, for example, as well as Deckhands. And there's even the preps in there, but for me, there's even the other lists mainly around Europe that have still got Raiding Party, for example, that's still running the Dread Corsairs because of just the sheer tempo of where you can still pick and then play 2 Dread Corsairs, which is just a powerful turn no matter which way you look at it. So it's still all up in the air for Rogue for me, and I think this is one of the strengths of Warrior overall right now, is that the deck is more or less sorted. You know what your flex spots are, and you know what those different cards you can use actually does. So, like we mentioned, the weapons project, you know what it can do, whereas Rogue is still fairly unexplored and might have some weaknesses in these initial builds. But let's go into game number 1.
Just want to throw in a quick correction there. Staz's Twitter handle is not @Staz, it is @StazDingo, which should not be going unknown, because that is the greatest Hearthstone Twitter handle I've heard.
Pun-wise, okay.
Yeah, for sure. No bias. Even Frodan thinks so. But anyway, we are going to go into game 1. Rogue on the coin, always happy to be so. I don't think any of these cards are particularly good against Bomb Warrior, though. He will just keep the deckhand for a sure play on turn 1 if he doesn't see an Eternium Rover. And Staz is only running the 1 Rover, so I don't mind this. Only the 1 of Town Crier as well.
There's also potential as well that it actually does just kill a Clockwork Gnome. Goblin, sorry.
Sure.
Let's get the correct expansion. Let's not go years back in time when Clockwork Gnome was played. But yeah, it does kill a Clockwork Goblin, and there aren't too many things that deal with this outside of, say, the weapons project. So basically, it's just free damage to play on turn 1. I know there's a lot of discussions in the past when do you play Deckhand in which matchups, but it's so regularly coming down as it's just guaranteed. Not many decks are even running 1-drops at the moment.
Ooh, double miscreant. Now, Alutemu can think about how he wants to order this, but it looks like coin miscreant into probably Cable Rat next turn, and then a Lackey plus the other miscreant is the most natural way to go about it, and he will have an abundance of Lackeys to activate the Togwaggle should turn 7 roll around.
Also, as well, not bad that you got the Witchy Lackey there, because Witchy onto the miscreant afterwards is another power play that you basically evolve it from a 3-drop into a 4-drop, which means that it is, or could be big enough to actually deal with some of these early mechs that Staz might be dropping down.
This is the rare situation where the Rush Lackey is actually really good though, so he could one-shot the Acolyte.
Right.
It's not going to happen in this case. I wonder if this is threatening enough to use an Eviscerate on. I do not think so. He might start with the Ethereal and see from there.
You've got to think of a little bit forward too as well, because if you're going to just ignore it, then
Warpath.
you're also playing probably your own miscreant again, right? Oh, sorry, he can't. So he's going to be playing a Lackey, which all these things can guarantee like minimum 2 draws. It's kind of tough.
Ooh, if the Scale Worm had Rush.
If only its battle cry went off and there was a dragon in hand.
So he is just going to use the Eviscerate this way, and I definitely respect this. I think that the 4 damage burst is probably not as relevant as denying the extra draw from the Warrior, and he also keeps the deck hand on board this way.
And it's the fact that the extra draw is 100% guaranteed because it just trades into a minion. It's not as if, oh, I'll just hope they don't have Warpath. It's like there's literally minions on the board that give it value trades.
Yeah.
So that's a true fear factor there.
Yeah. For Staz here, it looks like the Militia Commander into the Scale Worm is the most mana efficient play. Of course, it sucks to leave it on board when it just dies to a Lackey, but he can just follow up whatever board remains with Warpath.
I feel like a lot of the time, once the Warrior gets one handle on the board, just for one turn, they secure it. They're fairly safe just because of the way mechs work. So I think anything for Staz to just even up this board a little bit would be nice.
These are not great. Obviously, second Myris is completely useless. The Chief Shot is super slow, and I don't think there are any Death Rattle minions in the deck.
Nope.
So I guess Chief Shot is the only thing that maybe gets used. At the very least, yeah, I could see it like removing a Zilliax that you would not rather not put minion damage into, so it doesn't get the lifesteal.
Also as well, relatively cheap combo activator. It's not crazy, not super cheap, but good enough.
And Alutemu has just had a very solid grasp on the board here. It seems like he might be able to go into turn 6 with just sticking a Lackey on board because it's been very difficult for Staz to deal with all of these. And this turn remains awkward. You do not want a Warpath just to kill 2 things and leave the Miscreant on board. The Wrench Caliber is off curve. The lack of a Dynomatic, I think, really hurts Staz here.
I think Omega Assembly would be fine here. Start with Omega and then just Wrench Caliber the 2-1 away if nothing strikes your fancy.
I wonder if you maybe even Wrench Caliber the Miscreant, so you can set up a better Warpath, but that makes it very weak to second Witchy Lackey.
I'm just worried about how much damage this deckhand's done this game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's actually absurd.
I mean, it's attacked every turn since turn 2, so like 6.
Turning Rover, definitely not bad. No massive benefit to going Coppertail. There's no Zilliax in hand to then magnetize it to. So I think a turning Rover is just not bad.
Well, I'm thinking this just sticks on board, and then next turn you can Warpath, and this thing probably value trades the Miscreant. It just feels really awful to Wrench Caliber a 2-1 when the rest of your hand is saying, make sure Alutemu's board is wide so you can take advantage of your brawls and your Warpaths.
I mean, as long as he sets up a turn to just get Boom down quickly, I think Staz is going to be happy either way. I think that's what he's going to focus on, is what's the best turn that secures an on-curve Boom. Because I feel like that's the way Staz really secures this game, is just get Boom down and then cash in on basically all of the benefits of that hero card.
Rush Lackey, not too great here. Alutemu may or may not just drop an SI7. I feel like with the SI7, that makes the board already like good enough to brawl from Staz, and then that means, well, a brawl is out of the way. Good for you. if he just goes for Lackey and Hero Power here, I think the Warpath is kind of a huge punish. Well, triple Warpath does kill SI, but it will kill the Copper Tail in the process too.
And it's the whole turn, right?
Yes, yeah.
But maybe, although Warpath cleans this pretty heftily, maybe Alutemu is just cool with a Warpath on a lot of stuff he's generated for free. Like, yes, you used Warpath that can clear most Rogue boards, because Rogue doesn't really go that tall. Then it means that, okay, you spent a turn Warpathing a couple of times and you pressed Hero Power. Nice one.
Ooh, that's an interesting pickup now. So he could just do that and double Warpath, although I'm not sure if having the extra 2 armor as opposed
It's
to
not
just
better than just Hero Power,
yeah,
right?
I'm pretty sure.
And also, think in 2 turns it gains Rush.
Yeah.
And also then can be magnetized
Right.
afterwards. So I think the potential payoff is worth more, but it's definitely a good pickup for now.
Yeah.
Means it's ready to go for the boom turn.
So I struggle to see anything but the double Warpath value trade Hero Power here. Seems very clean. You end up with a 4-1. And Alutemu cannot just drop Togwaggle on 6. He will drop it on 7 though, I'm pretty sure.
It feels super weird though, because you'd imagine that in this spot, Alutemu has to, if he had to Tog next turn, he has to actually Togwaggle for the wand to draw more cards. And the problem with that is once it's done unless you have Shadow Step. So like that's the whole play, is just drawing 3 for 0, and that is a strong play, do not get me wrong.
Yeah.
But still, it's just, there's not that super late game value that a lot of people were running Togwaggle for earlier on.
This may or may not be a situation where he goes for Crown over Wand.
Oh, that scares me though. There are a lot of bad legendaries.
For sure, but I think the average stats is like what, at least 5-5? 4-4.
Does that matter to Warrior though? That's my fear. A 3-0 cost rogue cards from your deck better than 2
Well, with the Edwin in hand, that highly incentivizes the draw instead. But of course, that's for turn 7. Right now, Alutemu can go for this cheap shot to do something.
Also, he did go for the Eternium.
Yeah,
I'm really surprised.
me too. I'm not a big fan of that.
It's literally 2 extra armor that you can just
Yeah.
definitely gain later on.
And the 1-1 as a minion on board is not very strong presence, I would agree.
Hmm.
Does he ever go for the Edwin this turn? I don't think so, because that would involve using both lackeys if you want to get the Edwin as big as possible, and you never do that.
I actually think like
So he could go 1 lackey, cheap shot Edwin. Makes a 6-6.
I don't know whether he even bothers with the lackey. I'm wondering. Yeah, I was thinking just do this, but you could just use cheap shot instead of SI. I mean, taking 1 damage isn't the end of the world, right? But I think even holding, I think the lackey might actually be better than the cheap shot throughout the course of the game.
I think so too. I mean, I could understand lackey if you were going to go for Edwin that turn, but I don't like that plan overall just because you probably want to get the 1.
Yeah, I think cheap shot SI that turn, and then it also means you have 1 extra lackey that if you draw a Shadow Step, it means you can Shadow Step the Tog and have another lackey to actually play later.
Yeah.
But now, don't know about you, Staz, but Boom is playable and you definitely don't die if you play it,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I want to play Boom right now.
Yep.
Yes, the Wrench Caliber looks nice onto the 3-3. Do that next turn, is my suggestion. Who cares?
I would like the Wrench Caliber if he had a minion to play alongside it, so Alutemu, if he goes for the Togwaggle turn, couldn't immediately deal with the minion, but there's just not that much development alongside this that I would have much rather seen the Boom.
Boom's a really good card. I think it's better than Wrench Caliber overall. And what? So is this going to be just a shield, just armor
Oh
up?
my. Okay, I guess.
So now he's missed armor because the Eternium Rover could have been played this turn as well,
Yeah.
and he could have armored up the turn before. I don't know.
Yeah. Even if
I'm
you boom that
confused,
turn-
Gia.
Yeah, me too. Obviously, it doesn't matter whether or not he clears the lackey because he knows there's still another one at hand. But I would have much rather seen the boom that turn, especially since it's unlikely all that armor gets shaved, and even if it does, you still have shield block to activate your shield slam. So
The follow-up turn was almost always good, right?
yeah. By the way, he took the crown, not the 1.
Yeah, that's...
Wow.
Again, I'm just...
Okay.
I feel like these players are just doing the opposite of whatever I suggest, which happens quite commonly, believe it or not.
Like, Crown was my first instinct a while ago, but the Edwin kind of pushed me in the other direction. I just don't know if you would rather have one really huge Edwin or two mid-sized minions. And on this point where Staz is only running the one Omega Devastator, and he's not got that much armor, I feel like the one Edwin is probably more threatening, whereas two legendaries can get brawled away. It's close though.
Shield Slam is now usable with the boom. Armor, of course, going to be help clearing up that top. And what's key for me now, if we just sort of reanalyze where we are in the game, is Staz boomed and wrench calibered opposite way rounds to what, well, say we suggested, the impact that could make. And also, Alutemu did not have a Shadow Step for the Togwaggle, which means this crown was his one and only pick. Which means that if this crown whiffs, and it does whiff a lot of the time, then you have to wind back and work out whether it's better than 3 0-cost cards from your deck. Do you think Alutemu was just focused on the fact that he has Myras and he didn't see the point in drawing deeper?
Possible, yeah. I don't hate the crown pick overall because, well, now we see that Edwin gets big because of the Shark, which he drew afterward, but it kind of works out in a way where at least he has 2 rounds of threats now. Like, there's the Edwin round after you see the Brawl, because Devastator's not active yet this turn, so it kind of requires a Brawl for the Edwin. Then you respond with the Crown. And then after that gets answered, you have the Myras to push for lethal with whatever damage you've pushed in the meantime, and sometimes they don't answer it. So I can see the game plan. I'm just not sure if it's optimal, but...
Maybe I'm just unlucky, because Crown never does anything for me. I think I only discover the bad ones.
Ooh! Speaking of unlucky, Raven.
That was pretty clutch.
Yeah.
Gonna forgo the hero power here. To draw an extra card.
I feel like that discovers you an Omega Devastator pretty often. And the shield block could have been played
or even a Dynamatic actually doesn't do the same job, but it's close. It's close. It basically pushes 8 on this Van Cleave.
There was reasonable fear of just dying there. So yeah, fine. That's fine. I mean, like, because just Leroy Abyss, this is definitely caster vision. I think I probably would have shield blocked in that situation.
Does this keep you alive that often though? Like realistically?
Well, yeah, I think the 5 health.
I mean,
because 10 damage is a very
do you just die one
realistic
turn
cutoff.
later? Is what I mean. Like, does it actually keep you alive to win the game? I don't know.
It could, because you're boom mode, I think.
Oh, I guess so. Does Dr. Boom keep you alive?
He has the other shield block, and he could get Ziliax over Omega Assembly. Yeah, okay, now I like the shield block play. Sorry, I just saw the Leroy, and I just looked and realized, oh wait, he's only at 20. So there are very many rogue combinations of 10 damage, like Leroy Abyss, and then Leroy Cold Blood discovered off of something, things like that.
Many combinations.
Yeah.
Leroy Abyss twice.
No, come on. Like 2 Abyss, deckhand, SI7 plus deckhand, and then the damage lackey with some. Okay, there's just 10 is just a number that Rogue can deal very often. But what Warrior cannot deal with is this wide and tall of a board.
Yeah, the shield slam just after he lost all the armor as well.
Yeah.
This Omega Assembly has to be magnificent. Well, that's not bad. It doesn't do enough, but it was as good as it was going to get, I think.
Well, he can go shield block, shield slam, and clear 2 of these minions, leave up just a 7/7.
I think that was about as good as it was going to get.
Then he'll go to 20, and Alutemu has 7 on board, and loads from hand, so that is just GG.
I tell a lie though, I guess Ziliax with the Omega Devastator would have been perfect, right? Because then you just trade a 7/7 off heal for 7, so on, so on, so on, so on. But still, like, you do get Omega Devastator a lot of the time. Oh. Rolling to, well, Shield Slam doesn't get there. You'd have to trade Shield Slam.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's still fine.
Oh my gosh, this Edwin never loses brawls.
What a god.
I don't think it would have made a difference in the long run, but the brawl in that very instance was better than just the Omega Devastator and Shield Slam because it does the same thing for 1 card instead of 2. But yeah, that is just going to be that match in the books. Staz, I think, there were many instances where I would have done something differently. Towards the end of the shield block, I take back what I said, though. I like the shield block from that other turn. Alutemu, it's just a matter of counter 1. And in that instance, the crown did not discover Growl the Shark, Edwin Van Cleef, and Face Collector, which are all 2/2, so it was pretty good.
Yeah, it ended up working out pretty well for Alutemu. I do feel like that game was weird. I'm still trying to work out what these newer rogue lists, because there's a fair few of them to work out as well, and how they actually fare versus Bomb Warrior in a consistency way. But Alutemu seemed to make the job look pretty good there. I don't know if that Boomer turn earlier would have made much difference and held the Eternium Rover as well. Maybe the armor changes things a little bit, gives Staz a little bit of an easier shield slam later on. I don't know, but so far Alutemu is making it work, and for second place currently in Division A, he's on his streak, or at least planning to continue it to move on through and try and get to that #1 spot in the division for this week at least. But that's just game #1. We gotta see if Staz can fight back right after this. Don't go anywhere.
We recently revealed Hearthstone's all-new 3-tiered esports program. Masters qualifiers are already well underway, and now we're ready to share details on the highest level of competitive play, Hearthstone Grandmasters. Are you ready to unlock all the secrets of Hearthstone Grandmasters?
Come close and listen.
Here goes. Hearthstone Grandmasters is the pinnacle of Hearthstone esports, composed of 48 of the best pro players in the entire world. Grandmasters is divided into 3 regions: Americas, Europe, and Asia Pacific, with each represented by 16 pros. These pros are selected by special invitation from Blizzard Entertainment. Criteria for selection include lifetime earnings, Hearthstone competitive points earned, contributions to the Hearthstone community, and more. So who are the lucky Grandmasters? Stay tuned, because in the coming weeks we'll be revealing the inaugural Grandmaster roster region by region. In 2019, there will be 2 seasons of Hearthstone Grandmasters. Each season will feature 8 weeks of world-class competition played out in online tournaments. Grandmasters pros will earn both prize money and performance-based bonuses during the season, and they will automatically qualify to compete at all Hearthstone Masters Tour events, guaranteeing these marquee tournaments feature the fiercest competitors possible. And the best part? You won't miss a second of the action, because matches will be broadcast live on twitch.tv/playhearthstone. 5 matches will be broadcast every Friday, with 5 more every Saturday. And if that isn't enough Hearthstone action, there will be 6 matches broadcast every Sunday.
More souls!
Mark your calendars, because the first season begins on May 17th. Hearthstone Grandmasters is the pinnacle of professional Hearthstone, where the world's best pros battle it out every weekend online. Think you've got what it takes to reach the top? The path to Grandmasters starts with our Masters qualifier tournaments, so sign up today.
Each teammate I'm calling has stories. This tale's about riches and glories. Deep down in the earth, a king dreams of rebirth and refilling his gold inventories. Such a shame to have lost all that treasure. Join up, be a kobold of leisure. The cards now be calling. Someone new, no more stalling. And we next will be taking her measure.
Can Alutemu take down Staz's warrior again with his rogue? Or is Staz going to fight back? These are the questions we're about to answer for you. And Alutemu and Staz are both sticking to their primary list. So both players saying, yes, in this matchup, we have not built tech to deal with it. And just from a quick glance, it pretty much looks like for Alutemu, his secondary deck was very much anti-mage, and his tertiary deck was anti-aggro. And then Staz's is pretty much similar stories. Although, one's anti-control and one is anti-mage specifically. So it looks like both players just aren't prepared for this matchup in terms of their other decks.
It is.
So they are just having to fight with the primaries.
Yeah, it is just kind of funny how this first day at least has worked out, where everybody has had at least one other deck, either the secondary or the tertiary, built for the mage matchup, and there's no mages,
Yep.
so a lot of the time they're going to end up sticking to their primary. And Staz is going to have another shot at it. He had some bad luck with the Edwins winning the brawls, but also some plays that we weren't too sure of. And Alutemu, Yeah, he had quite an insane opening hand, to be fair, with the Cable Rat into double Miscreants.
Right.
So
He
I
had
do
lots of
think
stuff
that,
to do.
Right. I do think that overall, the Warrior is favored in
Okay.
this matchup, though.
And funnily enough there, I think we just saw from Alutemu a throw of backstab and SI, which is such a common keep, especially when you've got coin too, as Rogue. And all those got thrown because there's not often stuff to backstab early on for Alutemu. And if you have coin, it means you can activate 3 drops anyway if you really want to. So he did end up with a Life Drinker and a Eviscerate as well for those throws. So his hand's looking close to mirrored at this point, but it's all stuff he doesn't really want yet.
This is the bane of Rogue these days, where obviously you do not want to have SI and Backstab in a matchup where you are not the reactor. Those cards are great against things like Zoo and Token Druid, but you would much rather be developing your Miscreants and things like that. But because the Tempo Rogue list is very different than the Burgle list, which is running less threats like Blink Fox and Hench Clan Burglar, there's just not that many things you want to do in the early game. It's like Shark, Cable Rat,
It's
Miscreant.
super weird, right? Because you look at this list that has Sap in it, Double Shadow Step, Deadly Poisons, and Deckhands, but the list doesn't run Hench Clan Thug, which is just a solid play, whether you coin it out or not, right? It's just something you can always do. Whereas SI7 Agent is a little bit more reliable on the, on its combo effect, and so on. And Life Drinkers are turn late, hitting turn 4. So for me, my biggest question is why there aren't Hench Clan Thugs in this deck, and why there's everything else that's aggro, but then double Cable Rat and a Icebound Togwaggle. It really does surprise me a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like this deck is meant for the mirror, the primary at least. We can see Alutemu has the Thugs in the secondary, which are great against Mage, but perhaps not so great in the mirror because they die to Eviscerates and possibly Vendettas very easily. But I don't know.
But at least it's something to do, right?
Yeah.
That's my point of Thug. Thug is just one of those minions that you just play, and it's just good. Most of the time, even if it gets answered, it's decent removal, and you didn't need to set it up outside of maybe having a weapon.
Well, for Staz here, he can just play the Militia Commander to have something to do. I wonder if you ever just armor up pass, because Alutemu's not had a great thing.
I think
to
if
do
you're
yet.
armor up passing, you probably just equipping Wrench Caliber passing then, right?
Yeah, sure.
There's no weapon removal in Alutemu's deck, which means this Wrench Caliber is safe for the rest of the game if he so chooses, unless there's discovered weapon removal.
Yeah, sorry. It was definitely between Caliber and Militia Commander. I was just going to say maybe not developing a minion is good because Alutemu's not had early game, so you could probably put him on having reactive cards in hand. And you maybe just don't want to give him something to target with his spells.
Especially because Rogue's hero power does not compound on itself very well when you just let them spam hero power. It's not like Warriors or even to certain extent Hunters and Priests so on. It's just, well, re-dagger pass. It's a really, really poor turn for Rogue if they're forced into it.
Alutemu is just going to play the Life Drinker despite it dying straight up to the Wrench Caliber. I was thinking about Shadow Stepping the Cable Rat, but it just seems too low value.
Yeah.
The hand needs Miscreant.
One good thing about a hand this bad is it can only get better, right? Like the rest of your deck are the cards you want to draw right now. So at least as soon as Alutemu draws something, he can keep those Shadow Steps and maybe just generate a ton of value from them. If, Miscreant and even just some of the other cards as well. Even just getting the Spear of the Shark down and maybe having strong plays later. But it's a little bit tough. I think trying to eke value out of this Cable Rat is asking a lot of this little dude.
I will say you are a very positive person, Raven. I've never looked at a terrible hand and told myself, well, at least it can only get better. I tend to just bottom right in that instance. But that's on ladder, not in Grandmasters. Right. And Staz has a pretty clean Dinomatic if he wants it here. I feel like it's nice to have something on board that's a mech, so...
And it holds your weapon too, which I think, because he used one charge on effectively a one drop, I think using the weapon now on is a bit overkill, and holding on to it, you might get more value later on. Go for the Zilliax, okay. Keeping all that Dynamatic for maybe more emergency kills. Yeah, there we go. See, your deck can only get better. And now you have Shadow Steps and stuff with this Miscreant to play 1 million lackeys. It's fine.
I think he probably even just eviscerates the Zilliax to do the combo activation.
Yeah, I guess. I wonder whether he wanted it anyway, but...
Oh yeah, this is probably fine because most of the lackeys can deal with it.
Yeah. There you go.
You don't
Perfect.
mind putting minion damage into it because Staz is full health anyway. But yeah, now that turn is like a little bit strange. I think he would definitely cash in the shadow, at least one shadow step on the miscreant as soon as possible because you're not expecting it to stick. But the hand space makes it a little bit strange.
Unless he's considering Leroy into shadow step into next turn, Leroy into shadow step into next turn, Leroy into Avis.
3-turn lethal.
Without any armor, that could work. No, I do like this.
Yeah.
In honesty. This is literally what I was talking about last turn. Of like, if you get something that's value, mainly the miscreant is the #1 card, of course. Then even just a single shadow step just gives you so much to do. Like, look, suddenly a board. Ooh, okay.
What is that card called?
3/2 man that draws a
Spellbook Binder.
card.
Thank you so much, production.
Yeah, it draws a card, right? If you have spell power or spell damage, sorry.
I have no idea. So double warpath can clear this.
Maybe. No.
Along with the wrench caliber charge. I don't think you're that sad about having to use wrench caliber without the Elec. Don't think having the extra bombs helps too much here. He's clearly on a control game plan. He can get boom on curve.
Is there any way that warpath into Elec into swing is ever worth it?
And leave a 3-1. I could see it.
I'll leave the 1/3. Like the miscreant's done its value, right? If it gets shadow stepped again, well, at least 2 shadow steps are used, and you've got to deal with an army of 1-drops.
Okay.
I'm just thinking because then you actually get a minion down.
Okay, I definitely don't like leaving 3 lackeys up, or 2 lackeys.
2.5, we'll call it.
Sure.
I'll meet you in the middle.
Going into turn 6, which Togwaggle. I mean, I think it's worth it to delay Togwaggle by 1 turn.
I do like having a minion down though.
Yes.
I definitely like that because you utilize the weapon. And now, honestly, Alutemu is going to have to start adding up damage because with deal 2 lackey, discover a spell, there's already deadly poison and 2 eviscerates and a shadow step.
I remember a game.
Sinister strike, let's go.
I remember a game at Worlds where I think Bloody Face did something like 24 damage in a turn or more to Hunter Ace just by having 4 eviscerates in hand and some other manner of ridiculousness. Of course, that was pre-nerfs, but this is still a lot.
Sinister strike.
Me too.
It's just cheap damage. Look at your hand.
Yeah.
Yes. Good job, Alutemu. I like your style.
It's gonna be a while before he gets enough mana to do everything at once, but it's looking like this is the type of game where he's just going to be playing eviscerates to face.
And the Wanted's going to help because it gets him an extra cut in this game, which means he's just also, interestingly enough, it means that Staz has to continue playing around, say, Leroy Shadow Step,
This
because it'll be
Dynamatic,
playable
though.
easier.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good one.
Oh, yeah. The interesting thing is that Alutemu chose to use his last lackey as well, which means he's not caring about Tog, even if it comes off the top.
Can Staz? Oh, okay. Honestly, I ask this question every single time, right? And it's probably just wrong. I just wondered if he could just play Boom there. Yeah, the Dynamatic was great, but you're also facing down 5 damage.
No, I think, like, if any other minion gets on board there, suddenly the Dynamatic is not a full clear, right?
It probably is, though, because it has Rush.
Well, you have to do the order right. If it's a tall minion, then what if some of the things hit the tall minion, and then, yeah.
I just really like slamming Boom.
I am learning that very, very thoroughly by having cast with you for 3.5 sets. Boom on 7 is your favorite thing. I think I've agreed about twice out of the 4 times we've seen it.
I'll take 50%. It's about my win rate on ladder. So.
Okay. So the shark, if only he had Life Drinker, then this would be the juice. Yeah, this is the turn, it
Just
looks
gonna
like.
go?
Yeah. And he has seen Zilliax, which is a huge deal, so he's free to leave up the mech without worries.
He has a ton of damage. So he puts him down to, what, 14?
Yeah.
He has Leroy Shadow Step, Leroy with the weapon swing too.
And
So
the
that's-
Sinister Strike. Yeah.
So that's 15. Sorry, coin Sinister Strike as well.
18.
Which Staz won't know about,
Yeah.
which is the trick. He's got a coin that Staz has to not remember because he'll almost certainly be using Deck Tracker, but the Sinister Strike is the scary one.
So Staz, I assume the Harrison looks tempting here because there's 3 attack on it, but that means he's not gaining the 7 armor from Boom. And that means he would be dead. Because he just hero powers in that case, unless he draws exactly shield block from the Harrison. And then there is... oh, sorry, that's just 15 from Alutemu because he won't have the mana to dagger up.
Yeah.
So maybe Staz can actually do this safely. He will do that. And it's not like he's accounting for Sinister Strike either.
Yeah. The worry is what the recovery turns are like after that, right?
Yeah.
Because if you were down to, oh, it's okay, I don't die by 2 health or something, then like that's a little bit scary. I think...
Well, he can still Boom.
I think,
okay,
yeah, I
there
think
you go.
Boom, after seeing double of this,
Yeah.
I think Boom is more than okay right now. Now, Eternium Rover, he got the Blast Shield. Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah.
And then she gets the Blast Shield.
I was going to say, ooh, he got the Blast Shield immediately, which means he won't have it next
Right.
turn, which is...
Ooh, okay. Shark and Edwin are best friends.
They really are. So what if you sap this Dynomatic? Just because the Edwin's going to be too big to Dynomatic anyway.
And also the Shark health exists as well, right? Even though it's stealth, it still soaks some hits maybe.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind sapping it. There aren't many targets you want to sap, right?
Yeah. So he just goes Shark, Sap, Coin, Edwin. Next turn he still has the mana to go Leroy Step, Leroy Sinister Strike. So that requires Staz to both deal with the Edwin and stay out of range.
I'm not sure if it's going to work, but I don't actually see a better plan.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on this one because I just don't see anything else you can do that even has a chance of working, never mind actually pulling it off.
And it's turn 9 is a great next to turn 2 with a bunch of spells. Turn 9 is a great time to play Edwin. I think probably the second best against Warrior, just because they cannot devastate it just yet.
And now that is just safe, isn't it? Or it feels safe.
Does this need to get brawled?
If it is, you playing in what? Eternium Rover and the Elic?
Probably.
Just to give you a 50-50.
You just want anything but the
well,
Edwin,
I
right?
say 50-50. 75% chance of winning as far as I'm concerned.
Sure,
'Cause if
yeah.
that Shark lives, you're absolutely happy with that one.
Does the Dynomatic ever get there? If all 5 land on the Edwin, then you have another 3, and then you have Shield Sam. That's
All
it.
I'm thinking is, Edwin won a lot of brawls last game. Imagine. Because if Staz loses this brawl after him going for it, he just loses the series and takes another loss in Grandmasters.
Wait, so if you rush in the Rover, you get 6 armor. If Dynomatic deals... Yeah, that's probably not worth the... Oh, yeah, this gets there with the Warpath, right? Does it?
But he gains 6?
Wait. No, it doesn't.
It does. Because the other
Oh, with the
Warpath
one.
still to go
Okay,
off,
yeah, that's some quick maths.
Okay, that's
from
just a
Staz.
lot
Yeah,
better. I
obviously, yeah.
actually didn't even look at Warpath.
Me
I'll be
neither.
honest.
Yeah. Good job, Staz.
Yep. And now 24, and Alutemu's got a whole lot of nothing right now.
I think we're going to our first game 3 of the day, it looks like.
I mean, the Myra's is still a card.
Yeah, and so is the Tog. But he needs exactly one of those off the top to have any chance of surviving 2 more turns, because now Staz can just play out 2 mechs or a mech and an Elic.
Alutemu, I think, really wanted to discover a spell there. Just to get something else to do this turn that isn't Leroy Shadow Step. He's going to use the mana now, though. Depending on what he draws next turn, he might not have enough to do this, as well as putting on as much damage as possible. Bear in mind as well, Alutemu still has, although there's the Harrison in hand, of course, still has the double Waggle pick as well. So he has a lot of damage in the deck. He just didn't quite piece together enough.
Staz has been holding on to the Harrison, I think, for the Waggle pick.
Right.
But I think now he should be on this game plan of trying to set up 2-turn lethal.
It doesn't matter if your opponent's still got Waggle Pick if they're dead.
Yep.
So
I want to see something like Harrison, Alec, Town Crier.
This would be a good
Maybe
time
just
for
fitting in the
me.
hero powers better than the Town Crier.
wait, he still has Zilliax, doesn't he?
He's used it, right? Or was it the first game?
Hmm. So maybe I think maybe he can hold his Harrison for one more turn and just play Alec Town Crier. Nice.
Okay, if this
Dynamite.
is the play, it signals to me he probably still has Zilliax.
Right. Because he can get the mech down.
Right.
Ooh,
Ooh, and the
blast
blast shield.
There's a pick.
There's the pick.
Yeah, I do like keeping the Harrison for just one more turn there. I think this turn is fine.
Well,
Yeah, that's
yes.
14 from hand. That's so crazy.
I mean, assuming the pick sticks.
Wait, does he have a... No, it's too much, never mind. I was wondering whether he Leroy hero powers.
Do you ever do that now just to?
But that's what
get
I'm thinking.
yeah.
It is the problem is if it's worth it. If they don't have weapon removal, it's of course not worth it, right? Because you gain the damage anyway. But
What you do see right now is he's going to 20, and he's technically got the 20 from hand.
right?
Should the Waggle pick stick. So if he does the Leroy now, he gives Staz 2 more minions, which means he has 7 health, and the warrior probably doesn't do that.
Right.
I don't know, maybe he should have gone for it.
And the problem is this Harrison sets up lethal, right?
Yeah. Now Alutemu never gets there, but I just wonder that.
I'd love someone to run the numbers. Oh, he's just not got the time. The Waggle pick, number 2. If he'd had the picks a little bit earlier on, especially when he had some of those dead turns, he would have just pushed way more damage. He could have organized that Shadow Step a little bit better, or at least drawn out the Harrison earlier when there were turns to actually deal with it a little bit more. But Staz is fighting back with this warrior. I do like this warrior pick for this week, and he's going 1-1 so far. So I think he can get it done. This rogue, I feel like there's either something missing or it's 2 halves of 2 different decks put together with this rogue. Because I feel like some of the more aggressive cards will be available, and maybe even going for the raiding party list would have actually just been better overall and a little bit more consistent. Because we have seen Alutemu get some bad hands and kind of whiff it a little bit in terms of their draws.
It is definitely close, and Rogue, it seems like, is still one of the decks that is changing the most from week to week, so it remains to be seen. But good for Staz definitely to have a win on the board there. I think that he is favored overall, so I'm not too surprised to see that. But Game 3 could go anyway, because sometimes the Shark Edwin is just...
Sometimes it's just too much. We've seen Edwin be quite explosive today so far, but let's see if Staz is going to make the comeback. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
We recently revealed Hearthstone's all-new 3-tiered esports program. Masters qualifiers are already well underway, and now we're ready to share details on the highest level of competitive play, Hearthstone Grandmasters. Are you ready to unlock all the secrets of Hearthstone Grandmasters?
Come close and listen.
Here goes. Hearthstone Grandmasters is the pinnacle of Hearthstone esports, composed of 48 of the best pro players in the entire world. Grandmasters is divided into 3 regions: Americas, Europe, and Asia Pacific, with each represented by 16 pros. These pros are selected by special invitation from Blizzard Entertainment. Criteria for selection include lifetime earnings, Hearthstone competitive points earned, contributions to the Hearthstone community, and more. So who are the lucky Grandmasters? Stay tuned, because in the coming weeks we'll be revealing the inaugural Grandmaster roster region by region. In 2019, there will be 2 seasons of Hearthstone Grandmasters. Each season will feature 8 weeks of world-class competition played out in online tournaments. Grandmasters pros will earn both prize money and performance-based bonuses during the season, and they will automatically qualify to compete at all Hearthstone Masters Tour events, guaranteeing these marquee tournaments feature the fiercest competitors possible. And the best part? You won't miss a second of the action because matches will be broadcast live on twitch.tv/playhearthstone. 5 matches will be broadcast every Friday, with 5 more every Saturday. And if that isn't enough Hearthstone action, there will be 6 matches broadcast every Sunday.
More souls!
Mark your calendars because the first season begins on May 17th. Hearthstone Grandmasters is the pinnacle of professional Hearthstone, where the world's best pros battle it out every weekend online. Think you've got what it takes to reach the top? The path to Grandmasters starts with our Masters qualifier tournaments, so sign up today.
Each teammate I'm calling has stories. This tale's about riches and glories. Deep down in the earth, a king dreams of rebirth and refilling his gold inventories. Such a shame to have lost all that treasure. Join up, be a kobold of leisure. The cards now be calling. Someone new, no more stalling. And we next will be taking her measure.
First 1-1 of the day, Alutemu and Staz. It's all coming down to this game. Alutemu currently number 2 in his division, whereas Staz is sitting at the bottom as well. So he's matched in terms of game wins as well, so he's not just literally at the bottom, he's sharing now with a few players, but still this win would mean a lot to him in terms of progressing through this league. So yeah, both players are playing on their primary deck again. Like we said, seems to be no room for the tech for these two matchups, well, for this matchup specifically. So you think Staz has got this?
Yeah, I think that in general, Staz has had good archetype brings throughout Grandmasters. I did watch him very closely throughout the first 2 weeks as we are teammates now. It's just that maybe the way the lists were built weren't too refined yet, but I do think that this warrior is, as you mentioned, his best bring so far, and it definitely hit a good matchup here. And it's showing why it's been good. So he does have the Dinomatic for this game. I'm not sure if he wants to keep anything else here.
I don't think the Clockwork's too bad to keep, to be honest. I wouldn't be too upset with that. I think the Brawl can go away because you have so many other removals, but I think I almost always keep Clockwork Goblin in every opening hand in any matchup because I just like playing stuff on curve.
It is generally a good plan. And that's how Bomb Warrior gets there in very many matchups. This one in particular, I'm not too sure, but it does certainly seem better than just playing hero power or shield passing, shield block, shield passing. I'm gonna call it that.
A shield pass. That's it's a new card. It's delayed armor gain. But for me, I always think as well. Maybe I oversimplify the mulligan a little bit. If I think like, what card would I actually want instead of
this guy's toast?
Like what I'm thinking about keeping, right? So for example, the Goblin, and it's like none. Really, none that's worth the throw anyway, right? Just a 3-3 on 3 is so solid, and it is going to be able to contend this other 3-3 on 3, which is an SI7 agent from Alutemu.
Oh, I feel like the 1-drops are a possible argument against that, but there are only 2 in Staz's deck.
Right,
he's
that's
got
the
the
fair,
Rover and the Town Crier, so I can definitely see
if
that.
If it was a Zoo deck, sign me up for the mulligan, but there were 2 1-drops, like, it would scare me way too much.
Sure. Okay, so Alutemu can go for this Edwin turn, even Shadow Stepping the SI, I think is pretty good here.
Yeah, why not? Clean kill saves yourself a little bit of health.
I'm
I
just
don't
not sure
think it's
if,
worth pushing the 2, is it?
Um,
Using the dagger? I don't think so. I think it's worth 3 damage.
yeah, I agree, especially since it looks like his next turn is Life Drinker, and he won't have the mana to re-dagger. Close though.
And the team is not sure.
This guy's
Yeah, I definitely like this. It's just playing to what his hand looks like right now.
And also as well, in Bomb Warrior, sometimes it goes fast, and 3 damage that you really didn't need to take can make a difference in getting to one of those multiples of 5.
This is already super awkward for Staz. I wonder if he has to go as drastic as using the Militia Commander this turn into the Edwin, so next turn he has triple Warpath with the coin. It feels awful.
I'm pretty sure Staz is going to be having nightmares of Van Cleef tonight.
Yeah.
Because Van Cleef has been a pain for him in every single game, right?
He could go the other way around and try going for Dinomatic, and if you hit 3 on the Edwin, then you can Militia Commander, but that happens like less than 50% of the time, right?
Yeah, it's really hard, isn't it?
No, it's around 50, right? Because upwards of 3 is also just good for you.
Sure.
So,
Maybe Coin Dynamatic's just the best he's got.
I just feel like the Militia Commander into the Warpath guaranteed clears versus the over 2 turns, I mean. Okay, going for it this way.
Next turn he can Militia Commander or, depending on the board state, Dynamatic and swing the weapon again. But this is a 16 hit.
Yeah, and that means he's committing to taking that damage. As you mentioned, it's
Right.
16 instead of the...
I don't
It's close.
even know if there's something he could draw that negates that.
Well, Shield Slam.
Yeah, it would need exactly Shield Slam, so Shield Block, Armor Up Shield Slam, right? With
It is
coin.
pretty bad.
Ooh, yeah, and that's just a big ask, isn't it? Oh, this is going to be another 8. And bear in mind as well, because of the sheer amount of backswing damage from this Van Cleef, the armor from Weapons Project has long gone. So even Alutemu pushing forward with his own Weapons Project weapon is significant.
So many choices.
Edwin, man. Crazy card. I'm surprised they hit so many rogue cards with the nerf, but not Edwin. Although granted, like, nerfing preparation is indirectly nerfing
Right,
Edwin,
right. It nerfs the amount of times that Edwin does silly things, right? Oh, there's 10.
but... Ooh, coin hero power.
It may as well.
Oh.
That coin's not going to do much if you die next turn. What are you looking for otherwise?
Boom off the top, I think, and then coin into the right boom, not the one in hand. But, oh my goodness, Alutemu's just drawing the juice. Can keep going next turn, curves into an active Togwaggle. I don't see a way Staz gets out of this.
I think I like the 2 minions. I think I like the Faceless Lackey. Because it puts the most stuff on the board, and if you've seen one Warpath, and if your opponent brawls, they can't armor up. Maybe this evolve actually adds more damage overall, but I don't know. I think the Faceless would have been
I
fine.
think it might hedge around Brawl a little bit better.
But do you care that much if they brawl?
No, I feel like you're just winning this game.
Well, if
This
if they
is
brawl,
yeah.
they don't armor, right? Which is the big deal.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I mean,
It's got charge.
fine, Alutemu. If you want to do that, then whatever. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. The Witchy Lackey was clearly the correct line. And this just...
Yeah, obviously, it would not have mattered whether or not that thing had charge. It maybe matters in the short term because Staz can just gain 7 this turn if he wants. But I think overall, seeing this Togwaggle in hand, I don't see a way.
Yeah, this is scary. To be honest, even the Ethereal Lackey for the spell. There are a lot of damaging rogue spells. We saw last week Head Crack get some work done, which was awesome. And Staz, the worry is he can technically survive, but what does that actually do? He still needs to get some certain cards to be able to actually even win this game.
It's very funny to me that Life Drinker off the top will have rush. I mean charge.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's Beast, yeah.
He probably plays this to try and grab the Ziliax.
And just hope for the best, right?
Yeah.
That's all he can do.
That has charge.
That's 8
That's
damage.
so funny.
So he needs to find 3 from this Spell Discover and this Rat.
Is it better than just playing Tog?
I think you can always play the Lackey, so play it.
Which one?
Sorry, the Ethereal Lackey. Because you can discover this. You can
Sure.
discover so much damage, right?
Yeah.
That you always play that anyway because you've got the mana.
Right.
And then reevaluate after you've seen the spells. That's Head Crack. He's just the best card. We're going to see main deck Head Crack soon.
Or 5,
Head crack.
6, 7.
So much damage.
This is 1 off, I think.
Yeah, he needed 3,
Yeah, but the Cable Rat can get you a damage lackey.
right? I think with Headcrack you go for it.
Sure.
Because you can still hold the Faceless Lackey for next turn, and it's not like playing Tog is always lethal next turn. I was gonna go. Oh, okay.
We are picking at what's the term? Like, basically we're trying to
I would say
decide what between
nitpicking,
the 99% and the 99.9% play.
Either way, Headcrack, pretty solid pickup. Also, slightly unfortunate for Staz that there's no mech that you can play, you know, to attach the Ziliax to increase the damage, therefore increase the healing. But again, this is just Ziliax hero power, but what does that even do?
Nothing. There's just no way out. He can't even fit in the hero power shield slam with the Zillion.
Yeah, he's just... This was just too much too fast.
Yeah, the Edwin, I mean, that's just sometimes how the deck works, right?
Right.
Rogue, it's built that way to take advantage of a card like Edwin, and you were paying the price of some games. It ends up like game 2 of the series where Alutemu just had a bunch of backstabs and shadow stabs and not much to do. But when it comes together, oh boy, it really does come together. And although I would like to go back and see how the game would have turned out if
There was the
Staz-
guaranteed 2-turn.
Yeah, although, I mean, I feel like he still would have been in an awful spot because obviously that's conceding all those turns and still taking 11 in the process because
Right.
there was an Edwin and the SI.
Oh, well, speaking of SI, there's SI with a head crack and enough mana to get it done. Regardless of this app, there were many, many ways this game was going to go down, and Alutemu takes the series with this rogue, and I feel like maybe not the most optimized rogue list I've ever seen, only, you know, a week after nerfs, of course. But that puts Alutemu on the 4 wins. So now this top 3 of Flurry, Alutemu, and Tom is very, very tight indeed. All 3 players on 4 wins right now. So it means that the rest of the matches this weekend are going to decide who's going to end up on top this week.
Yeah, what a great story if one of these players who was just kind of hovering around and trying to get past Flurry actually gets there. And alternatively, we could just see a 3-way tie at 5-1 if all of them win again.
Exactly, yeah, there is a chance. So there's plenty more matches to come up this whole weekend. We are going Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, as I'm sure you guys will know is the usual by now. But for now, we're going to take a quick break before we've got the last match of the day. Don't go anywhere.